What's good, y'all? Rich Sosa back in a building with another banger. Now, first things first, before we go ahead and get started today, I gotta say thank God for another day and another opportunity. Now, as y'all can see from the looks of the title and the screen, today I'm gonna be showing y'all how to create my top overpowered small forward builds early game in NBA 2K24 that you're going to be able to find success and be effective with. Now, of course, I'm going to be making these builds on NBA 2K23. As you can see, I got the 3-point shooter, the inside out scorer, and the 3 and D wing. Now, the purpose of today's video is to give you guys an example of what you should be expecting in NBA 2K24 and what you can find success with going into that first month or the first day. Now look, before we get any further into this video, if it's your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new, smash that like button, turn on post notifications to be a part of the Rich family, and last but definitely not least, comment down TG for thank God and where you're tuning in from, and I most definitely will be sure to get back to y'all with a response. So from here, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of build number 1, the 3-point shooter. Now when it comes down to today's position, we're going to be working with the small forward. As for the height on this one, I'm going to go with 6'9", 206 for the weight with a 7'6" wingspan, and the body shape is all based to your own liking. Now when it comes down to these attributes, as you can see, this is going to be a bit more of a well-rounded small forward, especially when it comes down to the offensive end. We're going to be able to dribble pretty effectively. We're definitely going to be able to shoot on top of our takeover being the sharpshooting. And then as far as for the finishing, we're also going to be able to maintain contact dunks. Now the main thing with this build is definitely going to be the defensive area. So as you can see, I did go with the high interior and perimeter defense compared to most builds. But as far as when it comes down to the steal and the block, this is where the build is going to shine most. Now for the physicals, I think we have a great balance to start with. Remember to add the +4 that you get from your gym rat badge as well as once you max this build out completely. Now if you add everything up together on this build, I think that this is going to be one of the most well-rounded wings that you can make on next gen. Now moving on to the takeovers, as you can see I went with the sharpshooting and glass cleaning, but if you want to switch them up you can definitely go with the perimeter defense one or even with the rim protecting. Now it all comes down to your own preference and also your own play style. From here, I'm going to go ahead and get into the breakdown of the build just to make sure that we made the name correctly. You can make your own adjustments, but we should be able to get these 3 comparisons: Jason Tatum, Gerald Wallace, and Kawhi Leonard. And as y'all can see at number 1, we have created the all-around 3-point shooter build at the small forward position. Now remember, you do have the attribute boost that you can buy. Additional on top of that, you get the +10 from your takeovers, and the better we play throughout any game, you get a +4 to 5. Now running with a teammate that has on Hall of Fame floor general is going to make a huge difference. Just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what this build can actually do when it's maxed out to its full potential. Now from here, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of build number 2. So next, I'm going to go with the inside out scorer. Now this build is going to be pretty much the same when it comes down to all 3 of these heights. The main thing that we want to focus on is of course put it under the small forward position. As for when it comes down to the weight, I'm going to go a little bit lower with 194. 7'6" for the wingspan, and the body shape I like best to take up the most space is going to be built. Now this all comes down to your own preference for any of the 3 builds that I'm showing y'all today. But you can already see on the offensive end, this build is definitely overpowered more so when it comes down to this area. Now the defense, I think we're still going to be able to hold our own, but honestly we are a real offensive juggernaut. I mean look, we get a 99 driving dunk which will allow us to get Hall of Fame posterizer. The shooting, we're definitely able to hit with anything at least a 75 and above for the shooting ratings. Then for the playmaking, you have pretty much everything needed for dribbling animations. Same thing for the pass accuracy. And then for the defensive end, I think this is going to be the minimum threshold to still be effective on the inside. Now you can go ahead and try to upgrade your steal if you want to go that route. As far as when it comes down to these physicals, remember we get a +4 as well, but I think this build is definitely going to be such a problem on the offensive end that the defense is not even going to be a problem. Now when it comes down to the takeovers, I went with the slashing and sharpshooting, and as you can see, we also get the shot creating and then the playmaking. Now, however you decide to go about this, base everything to your own liking and playstyle. Let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of build number 2's name. And as y'all can see, if you followed along every single step of the way, we should get these 3 comparisons, and together we were able to create the inside out score, which is low-key a catfish build. Now, as far as when it comes down to the boost that I mentioned earlier for build number 1, go ahead and take the same consideration into this one, and I'm telling y'all, this is going to be one of the most toxic builds that you can make, especially if you're looking to lead a team on the offensive end at any time, and I think this is going to be a nice build for the rec as well. Now from here on out, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of build number 3. So we got the all-around 3-point shooter. Then from there, we got the offensive juggernaut inside out scorer. And coming up the most well-rounded, in my opinion, for the defensive end is going to be this 3-and-D wing. Now, as you can see, when it comes down to the position, we got to go with the small forward. As for the height, I'm going to go with 6'9", 219 for the weight with a 7'4" wingspan. And then as far as when it comes down to this body shape, you can pick anything based to your own liking. But I really think that slight is going to be better when it comes down to being able to move around the floor and also take up some nice space. Now, as you can see, when it comes down to these attributes, I did go a little overboard with the shooting and the defensive end. Now, I think when it comes down to the playmaking, you're still going to be a threat regardless of what these numbers are reading. Now, on top of this, for the finishing, we will be able to unlock contact dunks. But when it comes down to our physicals, our strength is up there. You're going to be a 90 plus when you get the gym rat badge. I don't think we're going to fall short-handed when it comes down to the acceleration. The speed, I'm really digging it. And then when it comes down to the vertical and stamina, these numbers are perfect. Now, when it comes down to the defensive end, we're going to be a hog when it comes down to getting boards. The block and the steal, I'm telling y'all, this is going to be a lot of builds out. And then when it comes down to the interior and perimeter defense, there's not going to be any build regardless of the height, even if it's a 7'3" center. And then as far as when it comes down to the perimeter and interior defense, whether you're going up against a 6'1" guard or a 7'3" center, both of these numbers are in the right threshold to be effective on both ends of the floor. Now, I'm really happy that we're still going to be able to dribble with this build, considering the fact that we do have a pretty high pass accuracy compared to most, really makes this a much better all-around build. Now for the shooting, I had to go with that 85 3-pointer to be a threat on the outside at any time, and our takeover will play a huge factor with this as well. And then when it comes down to the finishing, I already mentioned we do get the contact dunks. That's going to make this even better of a catfish lockdown. Now when it comes down to the takeovers, we get the sharpshooting and the rim protecting. On top of that, you also get the lockdown, and if you wanted to, you can change it up to go with see the future takeover. Now look, this is pretty much what the build is going to be looking like. Let's go ahead and move forward to make sure that we made everything correctly. And if you followed along every single step of the way, we should be getting these 3 comparisons. And as y'all can see, at number 3, we have created the lockdown defender, also known as the catfish 3-and-D wing. Now, I like the 3 comparisons to Sean Marion, Jason Tatum, and then also Andrew Wiggins. Now, let me know down below your thoughts and opinions on all 3 builds. Are you looking to make something of what I showed y'all today out of the 3? Or are you going to go with something completely different? Now, I definitely got the point guard versions of the top 3 coming out for y'all as well. The shooting guards, power forward, and center. So again, for those of y'all who did make it to the very end, I just want to say thank you so much for your support. More so than anything, thank God for another day and another opportunity. And with all that being said, if it was your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Smash that like button. Turn on post notifications to be a part of the Rich family. And last but definitely not least, comment down TG for thank God and where you're tuning in from. And I most definitely will be sure to get back to y'all with the response. And with all that being said though, I got one last thing to say. Rich out.